Welcome back, folks. I was gone because I went to the Sailor Moon musical in the UK. So, this
What?
weekly podcast thing is kind of not really always weekly. And you may notice that Melissa's not here, but we have the amazing Andres on to talk about two really great episodes of TV. Holy moly, that last one was intense. But I think we can cover episode 6 and then we'll just jump right into episode 7. But I think some things might bleed through. So we'll start with the rating. How did you feel about episode 6? Do you need a reminder of what happened?
Yeah, let's jump into it. I feel like I want to say episode 6 is probably a solid 3.5, especially now that I have the context of episode 7. But I do need some reminders on episode 6 at this point. Episode 7 was a
Sure.
whopper.
So, yes. So, episode 6, we had dinner at Bert's house. Mark and Helly finally hooked up. And
Right.
then Dylan Dylan is getting cheated on by himself.
Himself. Yeah.
I saw a lot of memes about that over the last week or so. People were like explaining how you're cheating on your husband with your husband. Um, and Miss Wong is not doing her supervisory duty at all. I don't think any work is getting done on Cold Harbor, and boy, do I not want it to get done now after seeing episode 7.
Good recap. I forgot what happened with Miss Wong in episode 6. What was the
Milchick
last we
was
saw of
doing
her?
paper clips. He had to take time off to go do 1,000 paper clips, and he was like, "You can't sit at my desk, watch
Yes.
the kids."
That's right. And Milchek is, we'll start with this, I guess. He's practicing not using so many big words.
Oh,
Did you see that scene? What did you think about that scene? A little
I
weird
feel
how he just
so
ends up on
bad.
grow, grow.
Okay, like, do you mean, like, on a meta, like, what is the show trying to tell me kind of way, or just, like, in general?
I didn't even really like think of what the show was trying to say. I thought like in that sense his character was absolutely committing to Lumen on like a another level by like changing the way he even talks. Um but I just thought it was more funny, especially knowing your sense of humor. I feel like you really appreciated that he just ends up on just grow,
I mean,
grow.
I totally would have laughed if I wasn't so upset for him as a person
Yeah,
who loves to use big words, watching him whittle his it's like a number 1 personality aspect of his character. Like, I don't think
yeah.
anyone talks like him. Um, and, like, there's also, like, the entire subtext of, like, race to that, which I won't speak to, but, like, holy moly, they are taking away this man's personality. I don't like that for him. But it
Let me
is
say
kind of
one
like
character that did remind me of him in the way he speaks is the doctor we get to know a little bit more
mm,
about in episode 7. But I guess
I don't
we'll
like
we'll
that
wait to talk
guy.
about that.
At least Milchick, we had the reveal that he kind of wanted to treat everybody humanely. Now, and
Yeah.
also boiling down that language to grow makes me wonder when they say treat them like what they are, do they mean children? And they're not children, they're kind of like adults because we saw them get doing some adult activities. So I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know
Second
what
time in a
are the
row.
innies? What are they? Do they have their own souls? According to Fields, they do.
Yes, according to Bert and Fields, they do. How'd you feel about that whole um dinner at I thought it was weird from the beginning that they were inviting
Ooh.
Irv over. Um
It seems like they've done it before. They had a pineapple. Just saying.
oh, good catch, good catch.
I mean, it was intense. It was weird. Like, I'm rooting for Irving and Bert as innies and as outies, or at least I was until they had dinner. Because Bert's talking about how he did some bad things.
On
I
the
don't know
outside,
if
right?
on the outside, like, as an outie, um, and then there's a whole thing about, like, episode 7 now, like, now that we know what episode 7 is and
Mm,
that Irving kind of remembers the hallway, now it
yeah.
makes me wonder, does Bert have something to do with that? There was a big slip up in this episode where, like, canonically, Severance started 12 years ago in the show, but Bert
Bert's
makes a
been
slip
severed for
and he
like
says
20.
20 years.
Yeah.
So was he involved? I don't know. Also, I kind of feel bad for Fields. Poor
Yeah, for
guy.
sure. I think he believes that Bert and Irv were getting pretty hot and heavy in the severed floor, which they never really did too much, right? Like
Um,
they
I
never went
recently
too
went back
far.
I went back to the episode where they were, like, surrounded by some plants. It was, like, Bert's
Hmm.
plant room or something, and I
Okay.
think the closest they got was, like, maybe, like, kinda holding their foreheads to each other. Like, they didn't kiss, but it was emotional, but not sexual, and not really
Yeah.
that physical. But also
Interesting.
emotional cheating is a thing.
That's what's going on with Dylan's wife for sure.
Dylan's wife not telling Dylan what's going on or that it even happened is already such a bad sign.
Yeah, I mean, it says just a lot about their relationship on the outside, right? Like she doesn't
She doesn't
feel
see him as an adult.
comfort. She doesn't feel comfortable telling him, which means that I don't know. She's just not that close to him on the outside, like to the point where she doesn't, trust him with that information. Really, like they don't have that connection. Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad. I don't even know if I like her or dislike her. Like, usually, like, cheating is bad. Those
Yeah,
characters are bad. But in her case, it's the
it's
same
complicated as
guy.
heck. But she knows enough about like what's going on in their outside world relationship to know that like he would be jealous. Yeah.
He would.
Like he'd be jealous because probably, you know, they haven't had that kind of spark in a while.
He also seems not as funny as his innie.
Nah, he's the confidence isn't there because he's not good at anything.
Ugh, poor
Sad.
Dylan. Poor
Yeah.
outie Dylan. I feel so bad for him.
Yeah.
But I get it. I get it. I don't like it, but I get it. I feel like that was a theme the whole episode was like outie versus innie, all these relationships. Oh, and then Helly and the Chinese. I forgot about Helena shows up at the Chinese buffet.
That's right. Yeah, it's a good callback too. She's wondering, I guess, if her Audi will have that kind of spark with Mark that her Innie had with his, but he's like not the
He's
same
not gonna
person
tell
at
her
all
shit.
on the outside either. Yeah.
But also their innies went to a room with plastic. I realized that was a room that we had seen in season 1. Helena
Really,
had
what was
gone
going on
there
in that
with
room in season 1?
Helena and Mark went there to have a discussion about it was like when they found out about the outside protocol, they
Mm,
had gone over there to have a private conversation. So, like but it was just them. So, like, it makes sense that they would have gone back. I thought it was a new room, but it's not.
mm.
Also, I'm wondering what department is supposed to go there. It looks like a desk for MDR. And now that we know MDR is like this weird 4 people watching one test subject kind of thing.
Oh,
Spoilers for
yeah.
episode 7. We can
Yeah,
just
I
say that at
mean,
this point.
well, spoilers for the whole show up until this point, I guess.
It's
But
so good.
should we just jump into episode 7 because it's just so hard to talk about anything now
I
without
think the last thing we can cover is Annie Mark and Annie Helena got together, and it was, like,
yeah.
so obvious versus, like, the first time they got together that, like, Helena would have acted like it was the first time. Ugh!
Yeah, that's a good
How
point.
could he
Like
be
they were
fooled?
they were just kind of getting into it the first time like they had experience whereas the this time was a little more like gentle. Um
Ugh. It was good stuff, though. I like seeing those characters get together properly. We watched her work out her emotions over what that meant of, like, having your body stolen by somebody, which is
mhm.
crazy. This whole show just makes you think of these scenarios that really would never happen, but are very interesting thought experiments.
Yeah, and then I mean, I know a lot of people are talking about the pregnancy thing, which is just becoming a bigger and bigger theme, but kind of going back to that episode. We had already thought maybe Helena would get pregnant, but now there's I guess twice as many
I
chances.
think that's her goal. I think she's doing it for Kier, maybe, like a ritual. I don't know.
Sure, but I mean, this last time was Helly just doing it to
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of, I guess, take back.
'cause
ownership of
everyone
her
deserves
experience.
love,
Yeah.
physical and mental. But yeah, we can go right into episode 7. Did you finish the episode, like, emotionally exhausted?
It was a lot. Like I can't. I was pretty shocked at how much information they were throwing at us about Gemma. Again, what we like about Severance is things happen in the show,
Yeah, they give us
and
info, but not
we're
all of
not
it.
we're not used to that. But this was like as soon as I saw like the recap before the episode and how many things they were getting into with like Gemma's character, I was like, oh, they're bringing back so much from Gemma in this. This is about to blow our minds. This episode. I was like, just sit down, pay attention. I I like my posture changed. I was like, whoa, this
Oh,
is gonna be a good episode.
this is film, hold on.
Yeah. Um, and then yeah, it lived up to that recap
I didn't
without
expect a Gemma
with
episode,
still not giving us like too much, like you said. Like I still don't
but
have
it
all the
gave us
answers.
more different questions.
hmm I
I
think a
didn't
kind
expect
of
a
a good
Gemma
place to
episode.
start because I don't
Mhm.
understand what was going on there. Like really, is
Do you mean with
the
Mark's
floor?
reintegration?
No, I was gonna say because you had already brought this up, so something good to. That's my wife, Sheila. I skipped,
Hello. I can't see her, but I believe she's there.
but yeah, she left a comment. Um,
Oh!
yeah. Um,
I
oh, now
don't
I'm
remember how to
distracted.
highlight this without Melissa here. Hold on.
Well, if you guys are looking in the comments, my wife just left a comment.
There we go. I
Skip through
skipped
the
through the
last
last
couple of
couple of
minutes.
minutes of the episode. It was super emotional. I mean, it was so good. It was so good.
It was crazy. Damn, what were we talking about? Oh, because you mentioned it before. The floor that has the doppelgangers that are kind of just
Oh,
observing people at all times. Like, what
why
do you
are
think
they
about that?
there? Why do they look like the characters? Are they the body doubles? Were they the people with the hands? I
That's
don't
what
know.
I was kind of thinking, but it seems like they serve a very important purpose of like observing everyone and kind of from what I could gather, just confirming that like the split is still strong between the innies and the outies.
Yeah, it looks like it just confirms that they've been working on the chips this whole time, which I
hmm
remember was a theory from season 1. And there's people who read Did you read the Lexington letter? Do you know what that is?
No, feel free to explain it.
So there's a piece of material that Apple released after season 1 to, like, tide people over in the 3 years between the 2 seasons. It's called the Lexington Letter, and it's supposed to be, like, material from Lumen. I myself
Interesting.
have not read it, but I know that the people who did came out of it going, "Oh, they're definitely just testing the chips." Like, all of this is about the chips. Everything is about the chips, which, like, now, oh my god,
It
they're
does
staring
feel
into their
kind of just like
faces.
that.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness, thought it was obvious to all of us how well the chips worked, so I never thought this was all just about that. Um,
Did you also not think they were experimental? Like, I thought it was a finished product.
exactly. I was like, okay, there's the innie and there's the outie, and like nobody knows how well that chip is working more than the audience. So like the idea that it's supposed to be still in testing phase, and like Bert said, he's been there doing it for like 20 years, and publicly they've said the whole process has been around for 12 years. But I guess what we really have to talk about, because it gives more context to what they're testing, is Gemma's whole experience,
Poor
because it looks
Gemma.
like she's severed in multiple ways into which she walks into all these different rooms, and it's almost like a whole different personality every time.
She has, like, 7 innies.
Yeah. And they're
Yeah, there's
all testing like kind of just uncomfortable situations that you wouldn't want to be in. The dentist, turbulence, writing thank you notes, which is um, apparently not her favorite thing to do. And then I think there was one where she was like doing like cardio or something. She came out
Yeah, it looked like a
in a
little bit of
jogger
yoga.
suit. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
they're all perpetually stuck there. So on Reddit, maybe about 2 weeks ago, there was somebody who put something on the subreddit that said, "What if you made an innie who only pooped for you, and their entire existence was just pooping for you?" And it
pooping.
was like
Yeah.
a haha thing 2 weeks ago, but now,
Now it seems
oh
like it's a
no.
goal.
It took me a couple minutes to realize that they were different innies and not Miss Casey,
Yeah.
which also makes Miss Casey coming back the saddest thing. Oh my god. Poor Miss
That was
Casey.
pretty terrible because more so than just seeing Miss Casey and feeling bad for her, just the way the system is set up to where Gemma cannot escape. She can only become Miss Casey. That is some twisted stuff.
And then I wonder, like, if she ever went above that floor, would she be Gemma again? I don't know. Is she ever gonna leave? Cold Harbor's gonna kill her. I'm
We'll
pretty
never
sure that's
know.
gonna happen. I don't want that, but I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, we don't know what Cold Harbor is really. It's another door though, right?
It would be another so, like you said, it was, like, turbulence, the dentist, all these other
Mhm.
unpleasant things. What would Cold
Okay.
Harbor be?
This actually just came to me because I wanted to talk about this because I happen to have read The Death of Ivan Ilyich, which is a short story that they keep bringing up by Leo Tolstoy. So I got really into um, 19th century Russian literature last year, and
Tell
that's why
us.
I was bringing that up a few episodes ago when they were in the Ortbo. I was like, it's like Siberia when they're sending Russian prisoners. So there's a lot of like Russian
Oh,
literature overlap, but the death of Ivan Ilyich is about a pretty normal dude with a family and a home and everything, and he's concentrated on like little things like upgrading his house. And then one day he's upgrading his house, he like falls and like hits his kidney, and then over time he realizes he's going to die from like the trauma that's in his internal organs. And the whole story for the most part after that is just him dying a slow painful death, and just the excruciating nature of that. And him looking at everyone like just wanting to be taken care of like a kid again, and people just don't want to even look at him because he's passing away. A lot of just terrible things about what it's like to die slowly. And then in the end, he does kind of realize like the only answer is to kind of just be selfless, stop resisting death, and just kind of accept it with like bravery and like it's part of life. And that's kind of how it ends. So I was making that connection of like um, that is also what Severance is about. Is like we have to do uncomfortable things in life, and we have to just kind of face them and realize it's part of the whole picture. But bringing it back to Cold Harbor, Gemma died in a car accident in a Cold Harbor. So perhaps the last step, the last thing they are trying to do is make it so that people will never have to face death.
they can just send an
Yeah.
innie to do it.
They can just send
Totally
your
ethical.
innie to do it. And I don't know. That's kind of what I'm putting together from the clues of they kept bringing up that book, and Cold Harbor being how she did pass away. Um, maybe she is kind of meant to die and meant to see if she can escape um, the suffering of death.
I think you're right. I think you're onto something. There is another potential possibility. So sometimes they talk about the different tempers and like what they're testing.
Correct.
Like I don't remember. Like the dentist is like regular anxiety. The turbulence is like fear. And they haven't shown frolic, and I don't think they've shown grief. They do mention frolic a lot, like a lot, a lot. But they don't show grief, and I think that's why Mark is important because, like, Mark clearly is unlocking her specific memories. Like, apparently Gemma herself is the one who doesn't wanna do the Christmas cards. So I think the room is, like, tailored to, like, whatever. I don't really know how the numbers work. I
Yeah.
don't know.
The
As
numbers, like
much
the
as we
numbers
have
he
the
sees on his
answers,
screen.
and the people are just looking at him.
Yeah.
So is
And
it
he's
something in
kind
his
of
brain?
sending some messages back to them unconsciously via the numbers.
Yeah, because
And I
like,
remember
Cold Harbor has to be
they
no, go
did
ahead.
say that last season, like, just look at the numbers and things, like, kinda make sense. So, like, they're doing
If
it
it's
very
scary.
intuitively. So there is something about the way they're clicking and moving that is showing something about what's going on in their mind, perhaps?
My question is, why does he have to finish it before the room opens? Because the one with the Christmas cards is called Allentown, and Mark
Mhm.
had a reward on his desk called Allentown in season 1, and he said something like, "Oh, I did that one super fast," like, it was like an award or something, but, like, that seems to be, like, a very clear thing that she didn't like, the Christmas cards, very clear and
Mhm.
specific. Maybe that's why he got it really easy. Cold Harbor, if it's, like, death or grief, has to be something hyper specific to her that he would know about, like the miscarriage, the one that we learned about in this episode. Oh
There
my
you
god,
go.
heartbreaking. Such
Yeah.
great TV. Oh my god.
Yeah.
The
Sad.
portrayal of everything was like also their love. Can we just start with like the fuzzy, like flashback sequences? It's unlike anything else in this show. It was so
Yeah.
refreshing and also like I do believe they are together. I do believe they're in love and I also don't think the car accident even happened now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to believe it because she's fine. Um,
Yeah. I
but
don't like,
why did
I thought we
they
were gonna find out she was in a coma and they wake her up and then she goes back to sleep and, like, her real personality is not there. Oh, this
it
is
seems
worse.
like there's an element of, like, she is there voluntarily in some way, like, she doesn't seem,
I
like,
thought she got severed
totally.
without telling him,
Yeah, I
and they
think
just, like, kidnapped her.
she's part of this experiment because she thinks there's going to be some benefit to it, which I think could potentially also be connected to the pregnancy thing and how she can't get pregnant.
I think they
Um,
promised her that they would fix it, but I
yeah,
also think that they're the ones causing the problem.
it could be that too. Yeah, because when they were getting their blood work done, was that also at, like, a Lumen facility?
Apparently it was.
Alright, so, yeah, I mean, this could all be just literally in the cards, like, planned.
So you think their ultimate goal is to not have people feel death, but also make money for other things
Well,
like airplanes and stuff?
I mean, I think the goal is to, like, give people the opportunity to live a life free of any suffering, and then, like, just from
Mm.
putting the pieces together with the novel they keep referencing and Cold Harbor, I think, like, the last step of that is to be able to die without any suffering. I think it's interesting that every time she comes out of her room, they're asking her, like, what the physical pain was and if there was, like, any emotional, like, if she felt, like, sad or grief or whatever. Um, because, yeah, that shows that they really are trying to make sure that it's a full block and that you don't take any of that trauma with you outside because, I mean, in reality, I don't think you could do it. And I think the other aspect
Do you
of it
think
is
there's always gonna be
can't
bleed through?
you can't, like, genuinely avoid suffering. Like, there's always gonna be something that's, like, the worst thing that happens to you, and, like, I don't know, you just have to accept that with living, I think. So it's very, like, I don't
It's
know,
getting very heady.
the word that comes to mind is, like, it's satanic because it's, like, trying to go the opposite way of, like, what God intended for your life. So it's, like, dark. It's dark in a weird way of, like, we're going to fix life. Like, we know better, you know?
And what do you think it has to do with, like, everything being cold? I've been thinking about this for, like, 2 episodes, like, why do the children have to learn to be cold and to grow?
Wait, the
Why are
children
they
have to learn to be
caretakers of the
cold?
innies? Yeah, it was something about like the winter tide. To pass the winter tide, you must become cold.
When did that happen?
Um,
Was that
Milchick told it to Miss Wong after his performance review. He was upset.
okay? Yeah, I don't remember that
Uh,
line.
I keep thinking about it. Like, I guess the only people who could deal with the test subjects have to be extremely cold and uncaring. But
Mhm.
like after that, like, do the innies? Not if they die, but like, what the fuck happens to the innies? What happens to them?
I
Can
have
Gemma reintegrate if she has 7 innies?
I guess, I mean, there has to be, like, if that lady, I forget her name, I dude, to be honest, I keep almost calling her Rafiki, but I know that's the Lion King, but
It's
it's sort of like that, right? It's
Regabi.
Ray Nabi?
No, Gabi.
Re
Regabi.
Regabi. I just keep thinking Rafiki. Um, but if
Takes
that
the Ice
lady has
King.
learned some level of reintegration, then, Lumen has the capability to put it together and do it. So I think
But so,
reintegration is
like,
possible.
yeah, because my next question is, if it's possible, what would be the benefit of her remembering all of that torture?
Um,
To be
I
whole
mean,
again? Is it
yeah,
worth being
I
whole
think
again?
like from it's a good question because from our perspective, we're like, just you don't want it, you don't want
Mm-mm.
it. But from Gemma's perspective, like, yeah, it's it's not good to not know what's been happening to you like half the time, you know?
And
Um,
also, talk about not knowing, that doctor told her that Mark remarried and had a daughter, and I wanted to throw the remote at the TV.
yeah, and it's
How
like
dare he?
her Audi has become an innie of sorts, you know?
She's interesting, because I thought Miss Casey was cold because she's weird, and now I come to realize that Gemma's just cold. She's wonderful, but she's just got this delivery to all her lines
Yeah.
that's
I
very
mean that
unique.
you
Great
think it's
acting.
you think it's great acting? Okay.
Oh,
'Cause
you don't? I mean, she's a staple of,
well,
like, sci-fi.
I think she's fine, but like the way you were describing it made me think you think she's being a little bland
I just think
with
that's what she is, like, not bland, like, she has brains, she has,
okay,
love and dreams, but also she's just kind of, "Okay, I'm
a
going
little
to a
bit.
Lumen event, I'll be back at 10." He didn't even say, "I love her." Oh, oh, I
Oh
knew it was
yeah,
coming. Oh, the whole episode was like, ugh.
that was a good one.
Ah, also, Rickon can climb like a gecko is the most unbelievable thing. Like, I can believe people could sever their brains and get tortured underground, but Rickon climbing rocks like a gecko.
Wait, when did he climb rocks?
They were talking about it over dinner. It was the only scene that we see Gemma, Devin, and Rickon, and they're
Oh
all like having a
yes, that's right.
great little chat.
That's
Um,
right.
And also, like, I don't know if they did this on purpose, they probably did, but I feel like the way the conversation flowed, like, Gemma would have, like, a line in between, like, Mark and his sister where, like, I feel like now without Gemma, like, the conversation would have been
Oh
exactly the same just without
yeah.
her. She just it was delightful. It was a really good illustration of what's missing without her in a very quick way to communicate it.
Um, damn. Well, now that you're bringing up Mark's sister, um, what do you think about her showing up and finding everything, and then that her instinct is to call Miss Cobell?
I thought Devin was so cool until that moment. I thought
A
she was
lot of
so
people are.
smart.
I saw a lot of posts that were disappointed with that.
Yeah, that was weird. I was mad. And then she's like surprised Pikachu when Ragabi actually leaves. What do
Yeah,
you
that was
think?
more weird to me because it seemed like she
What do you mean
wanted
you're
to get
leaving?
rid of this lady from the start, and then she finally like listened to her basically.
No lie. I thought Mark was going to be dead at the beginning of this episode. When his head hit
Really?
the floor at the end of season 6, I was like, "Oh, no."
You thought they were gonna
He
just kill him off, huh? That would have been
Yeah.
some George R. R. Martin stuff.
Well, you know what it is too? I went back to season 1, and there's a lot of parallels between Mark and Petey, in the episode where Petey dies. Petey
Mm,
dies because he spots Mark, like, clearly something in the chip, like, goes off when you see
mm.
someone that you've seen both ways, and there were just all these parallels.
Oh, yeah, he had
Um,
just seen Helly.
how do you just
Is that
seen I mean,
or
I just worried that they were gonna kill him off for real, and leave Cold Harbor. I don't know. I thought the next episode was gonna be about Cobell. I thought we were gonna get a Cobell backstory episode, which I think is
at
the
some
next
point,
episode.
she's gonna come back with, like, a vengeance.
But
She's
for
barely been
what?
in this season.
What's she driving to? Where's
I
she
don't
going?
know. Maybe Devin is gonna call her.
No, no. That's the worst idea. I'm so mad
Yeah,
about that. She just did
it
it
is terrible.
immediately
I
too.
actually kind of understand, like, the
Call an
panic and being
ambulance.
like, "This is the only person I know that might have an answer."
That's
Um,
true.
and she doesn't know what she doesn't know, obviously. But you're right. I was kind of more like, "What are you doing?" when she was berating Ragabi the whole time, and then got upset when she was
Why do you
finally
have
gonna leave.
medical equipment that we clearly need right now?
Yeah.
Uh, and also the steri strip, she just put a little Band-Aid on his head. I've been thinking about that a lot too.
He had a
He's
big
got a
ass
hole
hole
in
on
his
his
head, she
head.
just put tape all
Yeah,
fixed.
that was too
I think
much.
Mark's gonna die though. Even if he doesn't die from reintegration, I think Cold Harbor may not even be Gemma's death. It could be Mark's death,
It could.
but we'll see. I don't know if we'll see it this season. I hope so. Do you think Irv was a test subject?
Oh, yeah, let's get back to that because he keeps drawing that hallway that Miss Casey comes through when she's done the testing. I definitely think, yeah, I mean, I think that's the explanation is that he was once in that below area.
Because if
And
so, then he doesn't remember even when he was him. They
yeah,
can erase your memories as you.
that's what I was kind of thinking is was he
It's bad.
himself down there?
I mean,
Um
we only have seen Gemma, and I think they would have probably made him himself to, like, ask him the questions. I don't know, because
I
that
think
implies that
so.
they could literally wipe your mind
It
for
does make
real.
sense. But he is also like he is one of the people that is like the most aware of what's going on in Lumen and that it's like not, so great in terms of like the Audis. Like his
'Cause he's got
his
that
Audi
list.
his Audi always had like that perspective of like something dark is going on and I'm trying to paint to find what's going on and he's got a contact as well that we've heard him
Oh my god,
reach
we
out
still don't
to.
know who the contact is.
Yeah, so he's got somebody in there that he's contacting about like, my innie got the message and so he's onto the fact that Lumen has some issues. So it would make sense if he did participate in something like that and he had a memory, but I don't think whatever he was doing was as like intense as what they're putting Gemma through, obviously.
I have a theory.
Go for it.
It's a PD theory. Mark was never, like, privy to this, right? Like, PD somehow reintegrated. He must have had his beef very quietly without Mark there, because like, all they knew, they were buddy buddy. Mark was, like, totally a company man in season 1. I think PD, you know how PD says, "Oh, I'm your best friend, but you're my very good friend?" It sounded like a joke. What if his best
Yeah.
friend was Irv? What if him and Irv were exploring down there?
Petey?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, there's probably a lot
because
more
I
we could
still
find
don't know
out
why
about
PD got
Petey.
fired.
Actually, when they first did that whole like crazy transition from like the severed floor to where all the doppelgangers were when I saw Mark's doppelganger, it had such a big reveal. I like squinted and I was like, Petey?
Oh,
He did kind of look a little bit
I
like
thought
him.
PD was gonna show up, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but that's neither here nor there.
And then we have the creepy doctor. I hate him. I didn't know he was
Oh,
the
yeah.
voice of Beast in Disney's Beauty and the Beast, though, so I have to go back and watch again.
Oh, from the original '90s movie?
Let me fact check that because I read that on Reddit and I totally believe it, but also anyone can just go to the internet and lie. His name is
It's true.
Robbie something.
It doesn't it's one of those things where I would just be like, "Okay." But I'm glad you're looking it up
I
because,
wanna know.
you know, find out.
Robbie Benson. Ugh, I look at his face in these screen
Sounds
caps, it
like
makes me so mad.
it sounds like a '90s Disney voice actor name, Robbie
Apparently, he used to
Benson.
play Teen Heartthrobs.
Oh, good for him.
Oh, no, oh,
He's
whatever.
worked
I'm just gonna
he's
look
worked
it
his
up
whole life.
afterwards. Someone fact check me in the comments. I
That would be
hate him.
great.
Him and his stupid sweater.
He's not nice. It's not nice to be torturing people. But
Do
he
you
is
think
the dentist from a few episodes ago, so now we have
Yes.
a better idea of what that was all about. And
Oh,
then,
his
like I said,
smiles.
I saw a recap after that dentist episode where somebody was mentioning last last season they went into like the hall of smiles of like people that Lumen has helped and how, it
And they
probably
kept swapping it
wasn't
out.
that. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I guess are those all the people that Lumen is doing the dental experiments on?
I think
'Cause there's a lot
so.
of
I
people.
It's a lot of people. I don't know if those are, like, all around the world. Like, we know that there's multiple MDR departments. Right now, we're led to believe that these guys are only refining for Gemma, but I wonder if there's other people rotating out at the same time because the facility is so large, there could be more Gemmas. Maybe someone's related to Helly, maybe someone's related to Dylan, or not. Maybe this is I don't know if, like, Gemma's unique or Gemma's situation is unique because they've got Mark there. Um, I don't know. I wanna know more.
We will soon. I think what do we have? 3 episodes left? Oh my god.
This was yes. No,
Just
2,
3.
3, 3, 3.
I think there were supposed to be 10 in this season.
I found out that the
So,
next episode's only 37 minutes long.
that's not necessarily a bad thing.
I wonder if it's gonna be, like, high intensity, like, the whole way.
It's hard to expect anything else, at this point. I mean, things are intense. Mark is, like, half dead. You think he's gonna die.
I do.
Um, we
I know
know
season
so
3 is
much about
happening.
Gemma, season
Poor
3.
Gemma.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like there should at least be one more season,
Oh, I mean,
but
it got renewed. They're saying it's
no, yeah,
happening.
I'm just saying, like, the story, I think I wouldn't be shocked if it was only one more season because 'cause they're giving us so much.
Do you think
Um,
this is gonna end with the reveal of Cold Harbor?
yeah, at some point, we're gonna know more about what that's all about.
I just don't
I
know if it's
wonder
gonna go
if
beyond
they
that.
know it yet, you
They
know?
who?
Like, the writers. Like, I remember once Breaking Bad was finished, um, like, Vince Gilligan and the writing team, like, they said they left so many, like, Easter eggs and, like, hidden things that were, like Walter White going and grabbing something from the trunk at the beginning of season what was how many seasons did that go? 5?
5.
It was like but the 5th season was split in half.
Mhm.
So, I think the specific example I remember is when this back half of season 5 started and Walter White is kinda grabbing some guns from the trunk, and then you realize it's a flash forward. Well, when they wrote that flash forward, they didn't really know why he was grabbing guns or what. They just wanted to kind of give themselves the challenge of like, how does he get there? So I wonder if the writers even fully know what's in Cold Harbor and how we get there. I mean, it could be it's one of those things where like that might be the season 2 finale. Um, but it could also be something that happens in season 3 that they don't even really know for sure yet.
I really hope they have it planned out. I'm gonna be so mad if not.
Yeah. We'll probably
Please,
be
no
able
Game
to
of Thrones
tell.
us.
We'll probably be able to tell if they came up with it on the spot, but it worked for Breaking Bad.
Season 5 is not my favorite of Breaking Bad, I will say.
No, but who knows how many times they did that. Breaking Bad had a lot of, like, flash forward type moments.
Yeah, so did Better Call Saul. Better Call Saul is a better show in my opinion. We can
It is.
argue that one
It's
out.
No, I agree. Um,
Yes.
they it's the same people, and they became better writers over time, and they were already great to begin with. Um, yeah, I love Better Call Saul.
Yeah, that makes me wanna look up, the writing credits for these writers because, like, seriously, Severance is unlike anything on TV. Like, I
Mhm.
this episode especially, the director, it was her debut. I think she's normally the cinematographer.
Interesting.
Um, it was good filmmaking. It's TV, but it felt like very good filmmaking. We had, like, the parallel, like, Mark presumably is journeying and remembering his innie life, right? Like, that's probably what he's remembering in the context of the show, but us watching the memories of him and Gemma, it's like a reveal for us, while he's getting a reveal for him, and I really like that from a filmmaking lens, like, you just feel what they
Yeah.
feel even though you're experiencing something different, and the scene where the cops come to the door, oh, it was just so intense. It was very good.
Yeah.
It was very good. 'Cause that happens at the same time that Gemma returns to the floor, I think.
Yes, I think that is the part that my wife was mentioning we skipped through because she was like, I don't want to watch the cops come to
It was
the door.
devastating.
We've seen that scene in so many other things, and we know what it's gonna feel like, you know. Um, yeah, it was good. I'm glad you called out that this was um a different director from Ben Stiller, that it was her first time directing, perhaps. Um, Again, people can fact check us on that. But I did feel like Ben Stiller directed the first few episodes, and then once he stopped directing them, I felt it kind of like I was like, okay, like these are not Ben Stiller episodes anymore. And then at the beginning of this one, as it was going, I was like, oh, this is probably like a Ben Stiller one again. But
Ah, they gotcha.
so good job
They gotcha.
directing, lady.
Good shit. Good like, also such warm lighting. Everything was just so dreamy.
Yes.
Kier didn't seem like a horrible place for a second.
I
Mm.
liked that so there is like kind of a difference in the way they filmed the severed floors versus the way they film outside world, but I do like that there was kind of almost like a third way, like a different filter for the flashbacks between Gemma and Mark. Like you always know what you're watching with Severance, whether it's
Yeah,
inside,
unlike,
outside, or flashback.
Westworld.
Yeah.
Are we referencing Westworld?
I only saw the first season of
What
Westworld.
time is
It's brain
it?
overload.
I love Westworld. Season 2 takes that and runs with it, and everyone just says, "Don't do this to me,
Yeah, I think
please."
I started season 2 and I was like, I don't have the
I
patience
like
for this
season 2.
again.
I dropped off on season 3 or season 4?
Right.
Anyway, Severance is better TV.
Yeah. Have we talked about everything? Are we missing anything?
I think we're good. Milchick when
We
he shows up, oh, fun fact, hold on. Going back to the
Sure.
flashbacks, Mark's beard was makeup. It was
Oh,
not his beard.
good for him, I
Yeah,
guess.
I don't know. I found it out by listening to the official podcast. That's what you get when
I
you listen to that.
I would have never have known.
It was really good.
I think one thing we
Actually,
didn't do is like rate this episode.
5 out of 5
5
for
out of
me.
5. I think they're gonna go better this season in the last few episodes, so I'll say 4.5 for now.
But what
I feel like
about the
they
surprises?
I mean, it was great. It's just I'm leaving room to like something better because we got 3 episodes left and everything's been so great.
What could possibly happen?
I don't know. You remember how great last year's season finale, or not last year, but last season's season finale was? It was probably the best season finale of television I've seen in a long time, at least for a season one. So I'm leaving room for something like that where I'm just my jaw's on the floor.
It was so unexpected. So I guess, like, expect the unexpected in this case, but, like, logically, will Mark finish Cold Harbor, or does reintegration hurt
No.
that? Is reintegration gonna stop him at 99%?
Yeah, I don't know.
And is
I do
Lumen
not
just
know.
killing people? Just killing them. What else? Helena? I don't like her. She can go ask him all his questions for the company. She's never getting answers out of him. But reintegrated Mark, what would that look like? Do you think reintegrated Mark is going to be like any Mark secretly on the outside or outie Mark secretly on the severed floor? Do you think one of those options is going to happen?
Yeah, I'm interested to see what it's gonna be like. I think it's gonna be more like Audi Mark, because fundamentally, like
He's the
that
OG.
that is the bigger part of him. Like it has more memories and more life lived. Inside, they're like a baby. Remember, like they bring up
Yeah.
that Miss Casey has only been alive for like 107 days or something.
I think it's worse
Um,
than that. 107 hours.
107 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that just even more makes my point. So I think the dominant personality when they're reintegrated is the Audi. So I'll say that, but it's otherwise I don't really know what to expect.
Yeah, that's really fair. There was
Yeah.
some this is just a fan theory. There was some fan theory that said that Gemma's ultimate release would possibly not even be Gemma anymore. Like maybe Miss Casey is the one who has to escape because Gemma already has the trauma of being separated from her husband and being tortured for 2 long years.
Mm.
But I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if I like the idea of an innie becoming the whole person either. Um, oh, what do you think about them saying that innies have souls, separate souls?
Um, I mean, I always thought of it as one person. Like I always tried to remind myself of that. Like
Even though
there's it's kind
Dylan's
of
getting cheated on by
it's
Dylan?
exactly. I always thought, like, because I guess the best example for me is Helly and Helena, because you really love one character and hate the other. And so that was somebody that I kind of tried to remind myself, like, well, everything that I like about Helly is still in there in Helena somewhere. It's just the circumstances have brought out the worst out of one and the best out of the other. But in terms of like souls, I mean, I guess they are like what is a soul? It's like an energy,
Is it
and
what's in the chip? I still
yeah,
think they're
it's
putting their souls in the chip.
maybe. Um, but if a soul is like an energy, they definitely have a different energy to them.
Yes.
Like they have a different whole sense of being to them. So it's an interesting question. What did you think of it?
Mm, I struggle with this a lot. I think it's interesting that Bert's like, maybe my innie can go to heaven while I'm going to hell.
Yeah, very
Um,
sad.
Because I see it as like the innie is like untouched. They are pure. They were just
Yeah.
brought into the universe. Like that's why I think Milchick and company need to become cold because if they're not cold, they may influence the innies, and the innies may have some kind of higher cult
Mm.
reason or purpose. Like be it like a real soul or like what Kier thinks it is. Because I still think about the story about Kier and his twin was unleashing his seed upon the floor of the forest, which means other things. Um, was that the innie? Did Kier is Kier the innie, or was his brother the innie?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Were Kier, were Kier and his brother one person? Do you think maybe that's an innie and an outie?
I think they were an innie
Is
and an
that
outie. I think that was the
okay?
whole thing. But like
All right.
technician brings this up, like, did they split the soul? Because it could just be just one. And it's true. I don't know. Souls are not science, but severance is also not science.
Yeah.
Um, I'll tell you a crazy fan theory before we go. Somebody online thinks that they replaced one of Rickon's friends with the brain of a goat through Severance.
Okay. Any reason for that?
I don't know. There's like the whole thing about I came out of season one going, Kier's gonna put his soul in someone else's body. I think that's where this is going. And then now people are thinking that they're experimenting on like Rickon's like followers and making them goat people.
Mm,
Also, what are the goats for? Are the goats going to Cold Harbor? Do they kill a goat instead of a person? Would would the innie of Gemma take I don't know, would she sacrifice herself for a goat? Where are the goats gonna come up? This show is this show does like it's very satisfying because it'll throw this weird stuff at you like the goat thing,
yeah.
but it kinda does answer it later on. Like even the card, remember we thought that people were hatcheting each other? The green
The
card?
card. What's the
In
green
this
card?
episode, Gemma got in the mail like a test from Lumen, and in that test was the card
Oh.
of the little guy in front of another little guy, and she's like, "Oh, this is like a
Oh, yes, that's
psychology
right.
thing." Yeah, he's defeating his ego because
Mhm.
it's some psychology thing. We had seen that in season 1 in Bert's department when they were talking about 3D printing hatchets, and then that's the card that
Mm,
Dylan found that Milchick had to go to his house to get, and it was just a little guy. It made it look like they were hatcheting each other because they were talking about getting
yeah,
hatchets. So the show is satisfying in that it does, like, answer these silly little things, and I think it'll
you're right.
answer the goats.
Yeah, you're right, I'm more confused about the goats than I've ever been.
Either they're using their brains, the goats are severed. Maybe I think the goats are severed. That's what I think.
Could be.
But yeah, that's season 2, episodes 6 and 7. I think Mark's gonna die. Yeah. Any last thoughts before we go?
I'm all out. I'm all out of thoughts.
Lots I don't think
Yeah,
there's gonna be a better episode than this. Really hope so, but, like, my god, I've never seen TV like this. Where,
we'll
like,
see.
they they could have just shown his wife in a montage between, like, white sheets, in the sunbeams with the white
Yeah,
sheets like
which is how most
Gladiator.
TV shows would have done it at this point in their run.
Yeah, this one, like, fleshed her out, her career, her personality, what she likes.
Well,
Team
and you're
Gemma,
still left with a bunch of questions.
what are they doing with the numbers?
Yeah,
Now we know
some
someone's staring at them, great. What are they doing with the numbers? Why
yeah.
does the room need to be completed in advance? Is it custom to each test subject? I wanna know. Why is she in the '80s in the airplane?
Oh, yeah, no, it's way older than the '80s. It looks like the '60s or 7 or '50s at some point.
It looked
I'd
like
say
City
like the
Pop.
'60s on the airplane and then, like, the '50s when she's writing the thank you notes, and it's always Christmas.
Are they gonna send people back in time? Like, I wonder if Kier's goal is to eventually be like The Village and just tell people it's the '50s and then send them to be innies in the '50s. It could be anything. This show's
Yeah, it
great.
could alright. Yeah, it
Show's
is.
great. Good stream. I'm Sailor Tortilla. I often talk about Sailor Moon, but I've been talking about Severance, and
Woo!
I don't know why there's balloons, but I'll take it. This is my friend Andres. Melissa will be back on the next one because I think she's watching the Oscars. I wonder who won.
I think Kieran Culkin won. I saw that before I jumped on.
Oh, all right. Well deserved. Well deserved.
Very well deserved. And then,
All
I
right. We'll
I
find out.
predict Honora for Best Picture.
I still haven't seen it. I heard great things.
Yeah.
All righty. That's the stream. Peace out.
See ya.
Bye.